Well, hello and welcome to our first installment here in the iOS 11 special features. We're going to be talking about ARKit, which AR stands for Augmented Reality, and it basically allows you to make some apps where you can include some 3D objects in your actual physical world. It uses the camera on your iOS device, like here, this dude has a blank table, but then now all of a sudden there's this awesome car inside of there. There's like the Batmobile Lego version or something like that. I don't know, but it looks great. So the important thing to point out is this AR technology has been around for a long time. I remember I went to an iOS developer meetup. This must have been 3 years ago, and they were doing something basically the same as this. They were taking these little 3D characters and putting them through the camera onto physical spaces, using this augmented reality stuff. But what's really important here, what Apple has done, is they've kind of integrated it and streamlined it so that it's much easier to use. My friend that was doing that presentation back then, I mean, he was very specialized in 3D animation and getting those sort of graphics to show up and work, and like it was a ton of work. But you're going to see here really quickly, Apple has made it insanely simple to get the beginnings of augmented reality started inside of an app. So let's go ahead and test and see what this is all about. Let's start by creating a new project. So we're going to go ahead and open up Xcode. And it's so awesome. They have a starter template for us, which just makes it that much easier to get things going. So let's do create a new Xcode project. And we are going to select, instead of single view application, we want to do this augmented reality app. Now you can add augmented reality to an existing app if you'd like to, but for our purposes here, I think it'd be great to sort of start out this way. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next on that, and I'm just going to call this AR Fun because we're just sort of messing around here. Now, as for content technology, you can choose Scene Kit, which is Apple's way of doing 3D things, Sprite Kit, which is the 2D way of doing things, and then Metal. This is kind of the hardcore. You choose 3D or 2D. It's a little bit more raw at that point, but we want Scene Kit because we want to add some 3D stuff into our physical world, and we don't want to go all the way down to the Metal level. That's some intense stuff down there. So we'll hit next. Let's go ahead and throw this on our desktop, and I just want you to notice what we get by creating this app. So over here in our view controller, there's a whole lot of code. I mean, it's just a standard view controller that you're seeing, but there's some new stuff inside of here. We've got this AR scene view delegate, lots of different pieces in here. You can see it's referencing some file called ship.scn. And if you go and look at this art.scn assets, there's that ship.scn, and this is what we're going to be adding into our project. Look at that. It's a freaking, I was going to say spaceship. This looks more like a jet or something like that. But this is what we're going to be adding through augmented reality. So the truth is, Apple has made it so that if we just go ahead and hit the run button, we can see it there. We don't even have to do anything. But I want to, be able to manipulate it and show you how to do a few different things here, but just wanted you to see that. As far as the storyboard goes, if we go ahead and select that, you can see there's this AR scene view. Again, if you ever want to add this into just one part of your app, you don't have to start with this template, but you could come through and use one of these AR scene views to get that all done. And that's basically the gist of what we have. So again, let's go ahead and look at this view controller code real quick, see what we've got. And I'm going to bump up my font real quick. That's much better. We can see what we're looking at now. So I just want you to notice how little amount of code is written in order to get what we're about to see here. We set a scene views delegate. We say show statistics, which if you remember from the game, that will just kind of put some info at the bottom there. We create this new scene with this ship asset, and we just apply that to the scene that we're looking at. And I mean, really, that's it. We've got to make this little configuration thing where this says, okay, we're going to be using this augmented reality stuff here. But I mean, outside of that, we're really not using anything else. In fact, we could even get through a lot of this stuff from the did receive memory warning down all the way to this stuff. We can go ahead and delete all of that. Really, this is all we need to get the app moving forward. So I want you to see just with this basis how quickly we can get things up and running. So you're gonna have to run this on a physical iOS 11 device. So I've got my phone plugged in here. ready to rock and roll. Now I'm going to switch it so that you can actually see the recording of my screen as I'm doing this. So let me go ahead and get that going, and we'll hit the play button. All right, I've got my phone here now. I can go ahead and hit run on this, and oh, we already get a build failed. Oh, and that's because we have to specify a development team. So you've got to have all your provisioning profiles and stuff, but the amount of apps that we've done up to this point, I assume you have that, and you can just quickly select your name for the team. And now when we run, this should be ready to go. So here it comes. Build succeeded. Make sure that my phone's opened up here. Wow, big moment of truth. Also, you guys get to see where I'm recording this mess of a basement that I am in. This will be kind of exciting. So looks like it's going to take a second to install this. Okay, here we go. It's coming. And dun, 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 dun. Oh, I'm so excited to show you this. This is great. Okay, so it asks us, do you want to use the camera? Is it right if it uses this? We say okay to that. Yes, that is okay. And look at this. Oh my goodness, there's a spaceship. So here I am in this incredibly messy basement. Now you can see where I'm recording everything. But look at this. We've got this spaceship showing up here. And it's like, you know, in my world. And what's so cool about this is I'm going to get up and move. It's kind of hard because my phone's plugged in via USB. But as I move to like the side here, like you can see all the different specific parts of the ship. Like if I go down to the bottom and I'm looking up it this way, I can see the underbelly there. I don't think my USB will allow me to go that far, but you see I can kind of move to the back of the ship, see what the tail looks like. I can move in between the two. Like, oh my goodness, like this is just buttery smooth. So this is Apple using the camera to see where we are, but it's also using a lot of the, you know, gyroscope and things like that to see where it is that we're moving and how we're doing that. So yeah, so I mean, we wrote no code. We did absolutely nothing here but open the, you know, the template and have the show. But I just wanted you to see this and like, oh my goodness, like this is cool. So if you couldn't tell, I'm pretty excited by this stuff. I think it's so awesome. I just love how simple it is. Like all you have to do is you have to grab a 3D file here. You have to have some texture for it if you want it to look nice. And then, you know, a couple lines of code. Now it's in our 3D world that we can interact with. Like how awesome is that? Now we're going to take things just one step further here to see how we could apply some animation to this. So if you remember when we were working with SpriteKit, which is Apple's game engine for working with 2D stuff, you know, we could kind of, you know, move things around by using actions. Well, in SceneKit, the 3D version of that, we can do the exact same thing. So the first thing that we got to do is get to the actual node objects that we're going to be using, for example, the spaceship or whatever. So we're going to do a little for loop to get to those. And the reason we have to do for loop is if you type out scene view dot scene dot root node, it has a .child nodes property. Okay, so this contains all the different nodes that are in this 3D environment. So we're going to go ahead and loop through these. We're going to say for node in scene view dot scene child nodes, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Okay, so we run through this and we're going to say each time that we have a node, we want to move it by using one of these actions. So if you want to see what the actions are, you just type SCN. So a lot of the SceneKit stuff here, it's going to have SCN at the beginning, but we're going to want to do an SCN action. So if we do dot on there, there's a whole bunch of different ones that we can do. So we can have, you know, fading in and out. The ones that we want is we actually want to move it. So if we just do a move by, you can see we can use one of these options where we could give it an X, Y, and a Z. Now that we're in the 3D world, we have 3 coordinates and also a time duration. So this is the one that we're looking for. So let's go ahead and do this one. And just for fun, let's go ahead and move this a certain space over time. And, you know, we're not going to repeat everything. We just want to see this happen. So let's go ahead and give a duration here of maybe like 5 seconds. And if you think about this in the 3D world, so the Y is going to be your up and the down, the X is going to be the left and the right, and then your Z is like your forward and backward. So let's just say, for example, we want things to rise a certain amount. So I think if I remember correctly, a whole value, a 1 here represents 1 meter in the quote-unquote physical world. So we're basically saying here, make this spaceship rise 2 meters over 5 seconds. And once we create this action, we should give it a name. So we're going to call this move ship All right, and then we just need to run this on the node. So then we're going to say, okay, node dot run action, and we're going to give it that move ship. Okay, so once we have this, let's go ahead and run our app, see what it looks like for us. Okay, here it comes. Aren't you excited? You get to see the basement again. Yay! Okay, here it comes. So we'll be looking for that spaceship to be floating up in the sky. Taking a second here. Maybe my phone's not fast enough to be able to handle this. Okay, here it comes. And app opens up. There's the spaceship, and oh my goodness, look at that. It's floating up to the top of the screen. So thus ended the 5 seconds, so we didn't have any more movement. But you can see, if I want to see the spaceship now, like I have to stand up from my chair, and oh my goodness, I just broke the recording. So, because I unplugged the USB thing. But did you see how it was moving? That was pretty awesome. So I want to do that just one more time, but I want to be able to do it in a little bit of a more special way. All right, so rather than now just have it move, up by 2 meters over 5 seconds, I'm going to want to have it, move continually, and I want to have it to do like some fading and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and make a little bit of a fade action here. So we're going to do scn action dot, and you can see we can do this fade opacity. So we're going to do this 2, so we can say, okay, we want this to go all the way down to like something like 0.5, and this should take a duration of, I don't know, let's say, let's do 1 second to see that happen, okay? So this is going to be we're going to call this fade out. All right, we also want to make a fade back in, so we're going to make fade in, and I forgot the E on fade, so there we go. And so this is going to be an scn action dot fade opacity 2, and we want this to be 1.0. That's full thing, and duration, we're going to have this be 1 second. So now the ship movement, I want to have it go in 2 different directions here. So I'm going to say I want it to move like 0.5, and let's have the Z value also be 0.5. So it's going to be moving in 2 directions, and we're also going to have this last maybe over 1 second. So using these 3 actions, we're going to make a loop. So I'm going to say scn action dot repeat forever, and in order to do that, we've got to make a sequence first. So what I'm going to do is do another scn action dot sequence, and here we can pass an array of these. So we're going to say fade out, then fade in, then we want you to move the ship, okay? So this is going to be our routine right here. So it's going to fade out, fade in, then we want to move. So we're going to take this routine, say go ahead, repeat this forever. All right, and we're going to call this let forever routine. Okay, so once we've created this, rather than just run the move ship, we are going to call forever routine. So remember, what's going on here is going to fade out, fade in, we're going to move the ship, and that's just going to keep happening over and over again, okay? So let's go ahead and run this and see what we get. Exciting stuff here. I can't wait for you to see this. So build succeeded. Okay, here it comes. So there is our spaceship right here. And here we can see it fades out a little bit. Then all of a sudden it's moving. Does some more fading. Moves. Look at that fade. Move. And oh my goodness, it's just off into the stratosphere or up into my green screen and the ceiling. But isn't that cool? So this is just going to happen forever. This spaceship is just going off into the distance doing its own thing. But it's so cool because, it goes further and further away from us. Like it's now like a part of our world, which I just think is the coolest. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about ARKit here. In the next lecture, we're going to go even further, but it's going to be more about sort of using ARKit to measure distances, which is a pretty cool concept. But we'll go ahead and dive into that so you can see a little bit more of ARKit.